Hi, I'm Dr. Richard Abbey.
Hi, I'm Rachel DeJos.
We show parents of children suffering from a variety of conditions what to do so their children don't have to suffer anymore. And today, Rachel and I are going to talk about the various programs that we put together. And so your child can realize their exponential potential so they can be happy and successful and not be kind of brought down by the barriers that are binding them. Let's get started.
So with our clinic, we've been doing remote services for a while now, but it's really great to see that we have these programs where we can start to help clients right away. So from the moment they call us or we meet with them via Zoom, they talk to us about their son, their daughter, or even themselves. I've heard a lot of clients that when they finally meet with me, they would say, I really want to help my child right away. They're struggling in school. They're lacking that attention. We're kind of scared how they're going to make it through this next year, even with the pandemic still going on. And then they tell me that they have to wait when they call places and they have to wait for months. And that breaks their heart. That breaks my heart because they just want to get better. And then they have to find out that they have to go on a wait list. And then even after that wait list, it's this whole okay, we're going to do this assessment, and they're not even really sure what that assessment is, right? But, what's been kind of great with our program is that they call, we have someone that answers right away, and already our team is kind of on it. Like, okay, their child needs, help with X, Y, and Z. We're going to get them going with this team member. We're going to have them do an intake. We're already going to start off with questionnaires, baseline measures. And the best part, we even get to do an assessment of their brain activity. So soon as, this is just days, by the way, of when they already got to us, we're already starting on their journey to success. And I think that's just the coolest thing about what we're doing right now.
So, okay, well, let me ask you. So you're working with somebody over the phone and you say, actually, we can deliver that to you immediately. Like, not only am I getting back with you right away, but, within a matter of days, we can start helping you. And you're saying the assessment piece, not only that, but the intervention piece to help them start getting better. What is their response like?
Well, one, they're taken back because that's not the typical process. You can, you go to a lot of different places and it's like, okay, let me write down some of your concerns and we'll get back to you. Or let me write down your concerns and okay, we'll see you again in like 3 to 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens in that 3 to 6 months? You want the best for your child. You want the best for them. And then you have to tell your child or you have to tell your spouse that, okay, well, we're going to start their journey maybe half a year from now. And so when we tell them that we can start them today, they're like, wait, really? They're very surprised, but then again, of course, they're very excited and they're very pleased.
Well, I guess the other thing you said too, the assessment process, and what's kind of fascinating, I guess, to me, but also what puzzles me is psychiatry and psychology being one of the few disciplines that actually doesn't look at the organ they're treating. If you had some heart trouble, somebody would do some imaging on your heart. If you even had a knee problem, they do an MRI and they look at your knee. But the moment you have something going on with your brain, what you don't do is a CT or MRI because that doesn't answer any questions. But if you look at that brain activity, that's super important because if you're fully going to assess the brain, in the 1960s, we thought it was a black box. It's not a black box anymore. We can actually do this in the comfort of people's homes and send them a kit where we can actually not only look at the output of the brain like a traditional neuropsych assessment would do and ask questions and do some questionnaires and some interviews, but we can also look at what the brain is doing that's leading to the difficulties. What has your experience been with that?
Well, you're absolutely right. We've gone years where we go to the hospital, we'll get our heart checked, we'll go to the dentist, we'll get x-rays, right? So when we tell parents, of course, we're working with reading, attention, processing speed. Where else would you look? Of course, we need to look at the brain. We need to see how those areas are connected. We need to see how those areas are regulated. And that's the assessment. that's the great part about the assessment, because of course we have a great comprehensive neuropsych test where we get those answers and we do those questions about, mood, attention, working memory. But then we also get to see that same kind of criteria with the actual brain, the actual activity from the brain, those areas that those parents are concerned about. We actually get to see what that looks like in the brain. And the best part is from that, it's not just a diagnosis. It's not just, okay, here's what's going on. We can take that and create these customized protocols, these customized interventions and programs just for their child.
Yeah. I think what it gets to is like, if you really want to put the finger on the problem, and your brain is doing what? It helps you like communicate, it helps you learn and remember information, it helps you focus, it helps you socialize, it helps you regulate your emotions and be more emotionally resilient. Why wouldn't you look at that organ and see, like you're saying, where's the energy? How fast is the energy? How well is it connected? And how fast is it moving relative to a normative database against other people your same age? And we have this database. It's, been done with a multi-million-dollar grant with the National Institute of Health. Like, we have the data. And, it's funny you bring up teeth. Like, we even look at teeth. We even x-ray teeth. Why wouldn't you look at the brain to see what's going on? But more importantly, to help people get better, because if you can actually see the source of the problem, and you can help somebody through a brain-computer interface or to exercise that particular part of their brain. Having imaging technology in people's homes with the kit that we ship, down to a spatial resolution of a 3 cubic millimeter voxel and a time resolution of 128 times a second. Like, why wouldn't you do that? And then if you can use that to help people build their brain muscle and kind of change the possibilities of what their true potential is, so they can overcome things like, depression, anxiety, reading disorders, attention problems, executive function problems, or autism, whatever it is. Like, why wouldn't they be able to do that? Well, they can. And that's our amazing process. And we didn't kind of start this whole process to figure all this stuff out. Like, we've been obsessing over how to help people over the past 14 years, and we discovered how this all fits together based on working with thousands of clients and seeing all these outcomes. Like, now we get how we do that, and we've been doing that for several years. So yeah, tell me, so then you work with a client, and I think what's amazing is you've developed these phases, and like, what are they and what does it look like, and how do people get through that program with you?
Yeah. So, after we do that brain map assessment and after we do that comprehensive neuropsychological testing, yes, we have a lot of good answers. And now we know that we can build the brain from the bottom up, right? We know exactly what's going on. We can pinpoint the areas, and we can all the more customize that program and intervention for your child. And then from that, when I used to work in different clinics, I would I'm not going to lie to you, I would jump straight to the intervention, right? That's what typically happens.
Yeah.
So we have interventions and they come to us and it's like, okay, reading disorder. And then we just get started right away, right? We just would see them and we would start right away. But now with the process that we're doing, we know exactly what to work on, whether it's language processing, whether we're working on receptive language more than expressive language, or whether we're working with visual tracking and attention, right? Because we know with the reading program, it's not just words, it's not just sounds. We might say, wow, reading actually involves working memory. It also involves attention. It also involves tracking, which from the brain map assessment and from the comprehensive neuropsych, we were able to see. So now we know exactly what to work on. So with the foundational training through neurofeedback, they're building the brain, they're building those areas, they're preparing the brain to be ready for those different types of interventions, or we quickly scaffold in. So depending on the brain map, depending on how the foundational training is, we're ready to bring in those other interventions that are the actual skill-based training. And we're just tying in both. The brain is learning, the brain is gaining all the tools that it needs, and now we're applying. Now we're bringing that reading program, we're combining it with the foundational training, we're utilizing cognitive skills training at the same time. And again, this is all from what we know from our original steps from that brain map assessment and from our comprehensive neuropsych assessment.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like, you have soil that could use a little tilling and fertilizer and making it, very rich so you can grow things. And then now the new things are possible. You can grow like bigger pumpkins or bigger tomatoes, or, the vines are connected more and everything. And so, yeah. And then, what's fun too is like you're using things like virtual reality. And so, a lot of these things are gamified, or like, in it's not like the children that we work with, or even adults, like need more sitting and screen time. You have like the Move and Learn program where they're up and on their feet and doing things, but working on very important things like timing. So when you get in that space, what does that look like? Because I think it's quite amazing and astounding, but you are integrating modern forms of technology, but also making it fun for children. They're playing virtual reality games. They don't even realize that they're in some kind of therapy.
Yeah. The more that we talk about these programs and interventions, we forget that, wow, this is actually in our own homes. This is something that we can do online and on the computer, working with one-on-one with a trainer. And what typically happens is, yes, there's virtual reality. So they'll have a headset and all of a sudden they're tracking objects all around the room, or all of a sudden they're working on working memory with different animals and shapes, and there's words that's right in front of them. So it's super interactive. They're even standing in some of our programs where they're able to, wear a headset, and then they have a hand button on their hand, and we're measuring timing and regulating timing through your, in your living room or in your room, and we can, move our bodies to music, and we can regulate, our bodies through attention, through different things flashing on the screen. And they don't even realize that the session is already done because they had so much fun. But it's almost as if you're still in the clinic because it's so interactive. It's like they're still working one-on-one with a trainer at the clinic, but it's in the comfort of your own home. So it's even more convenient to them and the parent.
And I love what you remind people of, and make sure that people know that like the parent has a trainer every step of the way. So their commitment is like 5 minutes to hook them up, 5 minutes to clean them up, and then you are spending, or one of the brain trainers are spending the rest of the time with them. So we take care of all the tough work. The parent needs 5 or 10 minutes. They can go off and spend time with their other children or do whatever it is they need to do. I think that so in that final step, like phase 3, this kind of generalization mastery level, what are some of the outcomes you've seen over time, kind of in a general way to protect confidentiality, but like what would somebody expect if, their child came in with autism or like a reading problem or attention problem? What are you seeing when people kind of graduate and they have this level of mastery? What do you see?
Yeah, every client is always different and every journey has been different. But the greatest thing to see is that maybe when they first started the program, maybe their goal was, I just want my child to sit down and be able to open a book. Maybe that was the goal for them. But then through the process, through the training, towards the end, all of a sudden, it's not just them sitting and opening one book. They're opening all the books. They're reading chapter books. They're excited to read. And not only are they excited to read, they're excelling in school. And then all of a sudden that's helping even with their social life. They're making new friends. They feel confident with themselves. And that's the best part about that generalization training. We're seeing how this is going to stay with them for the rest of their lives. It's not just reading a book. It's learning new things, being able to take new challenges on, being able to get excited for the new school year to come, to join groups and join sessions and get with friends to read books, all sorts of things. So that's the coolest part that I've seen with the generalization training.
Yeah. Yeah, we see if we can help that young person kind of have that love for learning, then we won. The parents have won, we've won, and that, the side effect is like, oh yeah, like my reading level went up 2 or 3 grades in 6 months. That's like amazing. But when it's not really that amazing when you really know what you're doing, and that is building the brain from the bottom up. Your brain is operating just like every other good reader that is your same age, but then you can use your strengths and skills and talents to move it above and beyond that. And so it's not such an arduous, difficult task where you're reading, rereading, trying to sound things out. And so, and when kids realize their potential, like another side effect is they're happy and they're not frustrated. We're not trying to just make people happy, because being happy with, maybe not performing at a level that's consistent with your abilities, like, we don't want you to be happy about that necessarily. If you have opportunities to make it better, so you can function at your ability level, because when you can do that, then the barriers are removed and you can truly live your potential. And I know the funny thing when we talk to parents is, it depends on when they come in and see us, but often we've seen them, they've been looking around for answers, and they come to us and they're like, oh, we're here for a neuropsych assessment or some kind of assessment. But the true reason they're here isn't for an assessment. They're here to help their child get better. And that's how they started their whole journey. So let's back up and talk about your original goals, not from an accommodation Band-Aid model. Let's talk about a remediation model and see what you can provide for your children through our advice. We're Yoda, you're Luke Skywalker, right? As a parent, you're Princess Leia, and you're going to provide this amazing thing for your child so they can pull within themselves and get better. And then we all just sit back and watch this happen, and we're all amazed. This is where the tears start coming out, and the parents, they knew it. You ask any parent, they know what's deep inside their child and what they can truly do, those amazing skills, talents, their intellectual ability, but they're being judged in the wrong way because maybe they have something that's holding them back. Their attention problem makes them look lazy, or their reading difficulties make them look like they're not trying hard enough, right? And when all these things start to come together, then they're like, yeah, I knew it. And the child is happy, and man, life is much, much better. What an amazing thing. I think it's awesome that people, no longer have to live near us. They can be within the state of California, Washington, Texas, now even Vermont. And we can work with them in their living room through the internet and provide all this technology and all these therapies in their home, just like we kind of came in, but it's virtually.
Yep, right away. Yeah, and then the best part too is just like what you said, motivation is such a crucial part to anyone's program or anyone's journey. And the rapport that they're going to build with our team, we're literally with them from start to finish, and we're there cheering them on. And that rapport builds that motivation. It's so exciting to see their success through that journey.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for taking time out to, let people know a little bit more about the programs that you're offering and the outcomes that you're seeing. I think this is awesome.
Of course. Thank you, Dr. Abbey.